What's up, YouTube? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and this is my quick review of the UDI-RC u945, and this is the hexacopter here, and as you can see, it's modeled after a UFO, and this thing is awesome. It looks awesome, and not only does it look awesome, it flies awesome. Now, it looks rather large when you first look at it, but this is actually a micro. Just to give you guys a size comparison, here is the Zinzun Sky Devil. So as you can see, it looks larger on first appearance, but these motorpods on these two hexacopters match up exactly. So it's exactly the same size as this micro hex. Give you something you're probably more familiar with. This is the MGX X800. So you can see matches up almost exactly on the motor pods there. So indeed, this thing is a micro and it flies very well. And I think part of the reason for that is it benefits from 8.5mm motors. This thing has very powerful motors and it's a hexacopter. The other UFO quads that I've seen are just that. They're quads. And this thing here being a hexacopter, I always thought that hexacopters have more power and they can handle more weight. And so the weight that's required to make a nice model UFO, I think requires it to be a hexacopter. So this thing flies really well. It has very deep pitch. So when it flies really fast, it's very stable. Some of the other UFO things, they're not very stable. And models after like the Millennium Falcon, I think if they would have, Air Hogs would have made that thing a hexacopter, it would have been totally awesome, just like this thing is. Now, this is very stable. That's the main issue that most of the other models, multi-rotor models have. They're not very stable because of all the weight from the foam body or the frame or whatnot. This thing is very stable because the hex can handle it. It can handle the extra weight. So the yaw is nice. It has a nice yaw on here. And as I said, the pitch and the roll is very deep. And this thing flies really fast and stays stable while it's flying fast. And the only thing that I can say that could be a problem, but I don't have any problem with it actually, is the lighting. Now, don't get me wrong, it has plenty of lighting. It has a lot of LED lights all over this thing. But some people might want to try to complain about it just having one red LED under the bottom and a white one in front for orientation purposes. But I found that it seems like the natural thing that you would do, having it being a model UFO, is to fly it up a little higher. You're not going to want to fly this thing down low. You're going to want to take it up high, sort of to show it off, kind of, to have it up in the air and look at it. This thing has a bunch of LEDs on it, so it has blue LEDs all around the perimeter of the dome here. So all around here is blue LEDs, and then on the bottom you have LEDs all the way around. They're blue, but the rear LED is red, like I said, and the front LED is white. And that actually works because, like I said, the natural thing for you to do is to fly this thing high so you can easily tell which way is front and which way is the back, mainly because of the red LED back there. So I've had no problem with orientation with flying this thing, especially at night. Now, in daylight, it's a little different, I guess. The LEDs are very bright. Actually, you can see them in daylight. But this thing comes with all red props. So the props were all red. And so I guess that can be a problem for some. But it wasn't much of a problem for me. The only reason I swapped them out for these CG022 props is because these, I find, give aircrafts a little more lift. And exactly that's what these do for this. It gives it more lift, makes it fly a little easier. It takes less throttle to raise it up. But normally, it doesn't take much throttle to raise this thing up anyhow. These powerful 8.5mm motors on here actually give it a lot of power. It has a lot of thrust. The throttle punch on this thing is crazy. This thing flies really fast. Just an awesome hex. An awesome model of a UFO this thing is. And it looks really realistic when you're looking at it. Flying around. Now, it does nice flips. It gives itself a lot of throttle before it goes into the flip. And it recovers really nicely on all the flips. I haven't seen it wobble or anything on any of the flips. What else? This thing, UDI, I think they make very nice hexacopters. And well, I only have 2 UDI hexacopters, and both of them are really nice. My other UDI hexacopter is this little thing here, and this flies awesome. One thing I can say about the UDI hexacopters that are usually better than the other ones is the headless mode seems to not lose its bearing at all. You can pretty much put this thing into headless mode in the beginning of the flight and fly this thing the whole flight in headless mode without it losing its bearing. So the headless mode is implemented very well on here. Whatever they do, their headless mode is spot on. It locks in the heading and it stays that way. Another thing is UDI have limited telemetry. So the telemetry on here is something that's I think a lot of other companies should pay attention to what UDI is doing with their hexacopters. They're putting in a low voltage warning, a LVC warning, in which it's telemetry between the transmitter and the hexacopter, which the transmitter starts to beep when this thing goes into low voltage warning. So that's pretty awesome. You don't have to even worry about being able to see the lights flash or anything. And I think they probably thought about that because when you put this thing in headless mode, the lights flash constantly. So you would think that, oh no, you're not going to know when this thing is actually in LVC because the lights are already flashing from the headless mode. Well, you don't have to worry about that because when it's in LVC, the transmitter beeps and you can hear it. The transmitter beeps pretty loud. So to the person holding the transmitter and flying this thing away, flying it around, you can hear it start beeping and then know that it's time to bring it back in. Now, I can say you only get about 6 or 7 seconds after it starts beeping to try to bring it back, and then it starts to slowly descend. But I just think that's awesome. That's a no-brainer. I think all of the companies should implement that. Give it limited telemetry that they did with this. I mean, this other hexacopter is a nano, and this has telemetry. So I'm pretty sure it's not hard to do. This thing causes the transmitter to beep too, as well. And so, and even the nano transmitter from that nano hexacopter, it beeps. It has telemetry, so it can't be hard to do. But this is on a different protocol than my other UDIs. Now, unfortunately, my UDI u945A, I think it is, it died on me. I plugged in the wrong battery and fried the board. So I can't tell if this actually is on the same protocol as that, but I know it's not on the same protocol with this other little hex. But this other little hex didn't bind to the UDI-839 or whatnot. So really confused as to what protocol this is on. And the transmitter is pretty nice. It looks just like the UDI Free Loops transmitter, but it's actually a little nicer because it has buttons right here that you can press. It has extra buttons on it. Now, I think in the manual it says that one of these buttons, this button here is for the video or something like that, and one for photo. But when you press this button, it arms the flips. So you start the flips with this button. I don't know what this button does. To press, the sticks press in as well. So it's a lot of buttons on this thing. You press this right stick in and it puts it in headless mode. This left stick puts it in, it switches the speeds. So you can change rates with the left stick if you press them in, the throttle stick. It has forward and backwards trim. It has side flying aileron trim, and it has yaw trim. No throttle trim on it, but usually you don't need throttle trim. But this thing is pretty awesome. Really nice hexacopter model of a UFO. The UDI u945A. Oh, and this thing does support the camera from one of their other models. So you can actually buy a 5 megapixel camera for this thing. And it has an on and off switch. Oh, let me show you guys the battery. The battery is different. I guess this can be a negative here. The battery's connector looks like a hybrid micro LoSi connector. So different style battery here, but this is actually 350 milliamp hour 3.7 volt times 2 batteries. So it's two 3.7 volt batteries, 350 milliamp hours running parallel is what I'm told. So a little more burst of energy than the normal, so it has a little more power, I'm hearing. So this thing is pretty awesome. That's the UDI u945A. Thanks for watching.